everybody. Thank you for getting ready for Kitty KAL. Phase 2 is when you are getting the whole pattern for Kitty, and we're really jumping into the knitting. Hopefully most of you have already done your gauge swatch and you're ready to go with your project page and ready to really start knitting. I think it's really funny, right as I started talking, look who came to visit. She just really, I think, likes being on the camera with me. This is Buffy. She's very black. She's so nice. I'm gonna just let her hang in my lap if she will. It's that season when cats are shedding. So I thought it would be fun to chat with you guys about a few things first, and then I'm gonna jump into the nitty gritty, like what phase 2 of the Kitty KAL is and things that you need to think about before you really jump into that section of the pattern. And what I'll do in the show notes, like right below this, is tell you where that content starts. So if you don't feel like listening to me yammer, you can jump ahead. But I thought it would be fun, since I just came back from Scotland, to just kind of catch you up on what is happening with me. It felt like I was gone a really long time. It was only 2.5 weeks, which I've been gone for longer than that before. But for some reason this year it just felt like a long time away from home. And I missed my shower, and I missed my bed, and I missed my coffee. And I drank a lot of tea in Scotland, which I guess was good to do a little coffee cleanse, but I definitely dove right back into having a cup of coffee every morning when I got home. I missed it. I got a lot of knitting done on this trip. I just finished a hat for part of the Wheelhouse collection, and I just opened a testing call for that in my Ravelry group. And I also am working on a linen version of Leo. I just haven't taken any pictures of it yet. The body is almost done. I'm almost at the point of grafting the two halves together and then doing the side panels. And then all I have is that really fun cable panel up the front. So I'll post photos for you guys for that soon. I'm using Quince & Company has an Aran weight linen whose name, oh, it's Kestrel. In this color Porpoise. It's like this really beautiful gray, and I'm enjoying knitting that on the side. I also just finished the next N Club design, and the next, almost both of the next Lola's. The July's Lola's kit is almost done, but the May one is off to printers and doing great, and I'm excited to show that to you. And I'm working on another kitty for my daughter, because I thought that Bella, sorry, this cat is really hairy. I thought Bella should have a kitty for the Alaska trip, and she asked for one in earth, which really surprised me because I thought she was going to want one in quartz, but she actually got the last kit for earth. And I'm doing hers a little different in that I'm just going to do the top part of hers with the lace held double, the Capital Luxury lace held double, and then the bottom part I am going to do with the Capital Luxury lace and the loft. So it'll be like half and half. I think it's going to be kind of interesting and fun to show Kitty in another way. And I had just thought of that idea when I was talking to her about what to do. If you don't know what Kitty is, it is my latest spring sweater design, and we are doing a knit along. If you are just finding this video and you haven't watched the phase 1 video, that video explains the construction of Kitty in detail. I've also done a blog post that explains the construction if you're more of a reader and you want images to explain things than me yammering away and pointing at parts on my body. And in my Ravelry group, which is nelkendesigns.com/Ravelry, there's a tips and tricks thread for Kitty, and anything I talk about for Kitty, there is our separate posts for each thing there, so you can find things really easily if you need any help as you're knitting Kitty along the way, or if you're considering knitting Kitty and you want to look at all of the assets that are there for you. So basically what happens is I've broken up Kitty into different phases, and if you follow along with the phases, you will have a finished sweater by the middle of May, which is pretty fun. And we've got prizes along the way and a lot of support, and I'll really help you if you want to make any modifications. I'm always happy to help you take one of my designs and make it your own. So don't ever feel shy. I know there's a few of you out there that are thinking about, when you get to the lace portion of the bottom, maybe doing their own lace design. I'm going to stand up so you can see the bottom lace on Kitty right there. The only thing I'd say if you're going to do that with the bottom portion of the lace is I would be sure to try to choose a lace pattern that's got a little bit of a vertical element, and I'll talk about that more in the I guess it's phase 4 where we start doing the lace, so we can talk about that a little more, but you kind of want that elongating bit. If you have a lace pattern that is really horizontal, it can end up kind of accentuating you around, whereas if you have something that's vertical, it creates long lines, which is nice on all of us. Are you guys missing me? Do you want me to come back? Hi, here I am again. So Scotland was awesome. We learned a ton. Even though I developed the itinerary, I was pretty shocked by how much we packed into every day, and the balance between history and Scotland's geography and natural history and just absolutely stunning landscape, and then textiles. We went to a bunch of different mills and weaving places, all different styles. Ones had like really rehabbed looms from a few centuries ago versus those that are quite modern and working in a really like in current times, if you will, with newer equipment, and it was really interesting. We learned, I'm not sure I'm sounding very informative as I tell you how amazing it was. I did take a ton of photos, and those are saved in my Instagram stories and the highlights on Instagram. So if you want to look at photos from Scotland, if you haven't seen any from our trip yet, or I think you can also search #KnitScotland, and that will show you a bunch of photos as well. So right now, besides knitting the layout and getting ready to knit Bella's sweater that I was telling you about, and then I got all distracted, I think I have only 1 or 2 kits left for Kitty in my Etsy shop. Thank you guys so much. They sold out very quickly. And they're both in the quartz color. I did order new yarn from Neighborhood Fiber Company, so there will be more kits going up, but probably not until mid-May, because they are going to Maryland Sheep and Wool, so they are dying for that right now. But I will let you know when there's more kits in there. I know the Finger Lake color that I'm wearing sold out really, really quickly, and a few people are waiting for that to come back in stock. I have like a very snuggly kitty here. She just keeps coming and then getting hair all over me, and then leaving again. So that's the story with kits. I still do have those kit bags left, so when you order a kit, you will get the Kitty Cal bag and all of the extra little kitty goodies that come with it. The reason I keep holding up this skein of Bella's yarn is because for the first time in forever, I did not put the skein well onto my skein winder, and I now need to wind this skein by hand, which is going to take me part of the evening and probably like 1 or 2 movies on Netflix. But I'm gonna gear up to doing that actually in a little while, because I really want to get knitting on hers. I'm going to be at Neighborhood Fiber Company on Saturday doing a little kitty cast-on party, and I want to have hers kind of like on the go and already happening, so I can show people how the side panels work, and then I'll be able to use that next week for doing the videos for the side panels. So I think that's enough background. Let's talk about phase 2. Phase 2 of Kitty Cal. If you've completed phase 1, you've done your gauge swatch, which means you've already knit your right sleeve, and you are ready to provisionally cast on stitches for the front and the back. And I'm going to stand up so you can see that. What happens is you're provisionally casting on stitches right here, and then you're working across the sleeve, and you're provisionally casting on stitches right here. If this doesn't make sense to you, go read that blog post. I'll put the link down at the bottom here that helps you understand the construction. The most important part about this step, and it's written into the pattern, is that you want this cast on line, like this bodice line, to land below your girdles. If this line ends up right here, it's going to be kind of awkward. You don't really want to cut them off at that point. Does that make sense to everybody? So look at the schematic and measure from your shoulder to your girls. If your girls are bigger, that measurement is going to be longer than it might be in the schematic. So this point is where you might want to add on an inch or two if you want to make sure that that lands right below your breast, basically. Your girls are your breasts right there. Does that make sense to everybody? So I've done the math for you in a post in the tips and tricks thread. Let's say that you need to add 2 inches, and the stitch gauge, because these side panels, since you're working side to side, this right here is stitch gauge right here. Your stitch gauge is 4.25 stitches to the inch. So if you wanted to add on 2 inches, you'd want to add on 8 stitches to the provisional cast on for both the front and the back. So in total, you're going to end up with 16 more stitches on your needles when you're working the front and the sleeve and the back, going all the way over like that. When you're going like front, sleeve, back, and then back, sleeve, front, you'll have 8 in the front and 8 in the back. And what I did in that tips and tricks thread is show you all the places you need to add those 8 stitches in, so that like when you get to the split for the neckline, you make sure that you're keeping track of those, so that the split for the neckline happens right at the middle of the sleeve. Sometimes if people forget to add those stitches in when they go to that step, they end up with a split that's in the wrong spot. So I just want to make sure that you catch that if you add on stitches, that you make sure you add those in the appropriate places in the pattern so that you work it correctly. I hope that makes sense. But I wrote that all out for you. That is the biggest thing to think about for phase 2. So phase 2 has you working across the whole bodice. It's all stockinette stitch. You're working at a very big gauge on bigger needles with lace weight yarn held double. It's going to go very quickly. I think you're going to be surprised by how fast the top of the sweater knits up. I would say if you work on it even for an hour every day between now and next Thursday, you will be done with phase 2. And that seems like a doable, especially if you can put in a little more time this weekend. You'll definitely be done by next Thursday. Phase 3, which is going to be the next phase, we'll be working the side panels. So we'll be folding phase 2 in half and then joining the side panels and then picking up the stitches in the round. And for those, I'll shoot specific videos like how to do the side panels and then how to pick up stitches the best, because I know people have questions about picking up stitches, and I'll be able to use the one that I'm working on for Bella to show all of that to you, which is kind of cool. It'll be fun to be knitting along with you guys. Trying to think of what else would be good to know for phase 2. You probably want to know what your prize is for completing phase 2. I feel like this is the biggest phase in terms of knitting that you have to get done. So I have a Pendleton wool needle case for you guys. This is made in the USA out of fabric that is made in the USA. It is a wool cotton blend with, I don't know if you know Pendleton. They're a company that is based in Oregon, and they use US wool and they mill in the US, and I believe that they dye in the US, and then these are sewn up into a needle organizer. So if you have circular needles that need organizing, there are pockets that ziplock together, and there's like a 2-ring binder in there for them, and then there's a zipper pocket on each side. So this is a super handy, useful tool, and one of you is going to win it. And the way that you win it is to finish phase 2 and then post a picture of your finished phase 2 in the phase 2 thread. That's also where you'll post questions about phase 2, and make sure that you've tagged your project page on Ravelry with Kitty phase 2. And then I can really easily search through all of those, and don't tag your project until you've finished phase 2, because then it's really easy for me to just search all the projects that are tagged Kitty phase 2 and choose a winner. So I do need to choose the winner for Kitty phase 1, and I'm not going to announce that on the video. I'm going to just announce that when I post in the Ravelry group when phase 2 releases. So if you go over to the Ravelry group in phase 1, I'll ear burn the winner. Who knows who that's going to be. Now my hand is getting licked, which clearly I'm dirty and I need to be cleaned. What she likes is if she licks your hand and then you clean the top of her head with your hand. I could do that all day for her. She keeps distracting me. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. I feel like you want to go look at your pattern, think about if you need to change your bust length. If you're concerned, measure yourself and post in the Ravelry group and ask, and I'll help you figure out if you need to add any length right there. That's really the big thing that you're going to think about potentially changing in phase 2, and then start knitting. Find something fun to listen to or something fun to watch and just get going. And I will see your phase 2s posted in the Ravelry group this week. Thanks, everybody.